So this past month, I played Journey, which is an indie adventure game co-developed by That Game Company and Santa Monica Studio, published by Sony Computer Entertainment. It was directed by Genova Chen. It was originally released for the PS3 via the PlayStation Network in 2012. It was ported to PS4 in 2015, and then it was ported to Windows and iOS in 2019. So this is the metaphorical predecessor to Abzu, as I kind of mentioned when I talked about that game.
My mum's evil.
It is
what?
A large
Which
amount
one?
of the staff / crew for this game went forward to move to work on Abzu, which was made as like a metaphorical spiritual yin and yang thing. I don't know, something like that. So the composer is also the same. He also won a Grammy for this game, which is really cool. Just a lot of the programmers were the same. Different companies, but same people. In this game, you control a robed figure in a desert, traveling towards a mountain in the distance. And the big thing with this game, which surprisingly still works, it is kind of co-op. Kind of. So you know how in Souls games, when you die, and when other players die, if your internet connection is working correctly, they will leave like hints and you can see where people have died and shit.
Yep.
It's kind of like that. You can play this game by yourself, but you can also play online with other people, of which they will just randomly appear in this game. There is no prompt for another person entering your game. There is no chat, text, or voice. There is no gamer tag or like name associated with the character. They just appear, and there's no way to communicate with them at all.
You can go back and forth quickly, left and right.
What do you mean?
Click, 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 just to say hi.
Basically,
Like you do
your
with-
your Minecraft universal squat is hello.
Yeah,
like
exactly.
That's it. There's no like direct communication in this game, and the person's gamer tag or Steam username or whatever only appears in the credits of the game when you finish it. It's really cool. So you can play either way. I played by myself on my first playthrough because no one popped in. On my second playthrough, of which I played this on PC, someone still appeared in this like decade-old game. It's really funny. This was also recently, quote-unquote, discounted on PlayStation Network, I believe, for, I believe it was during their Stay Home initiative. It was one of the many games that they threw a massive discount on.
They also had summer sale right after it. So
Yeah, it's one of those games that kind of just gets... There's always people playing it, even though it's a tiny game. So this is a roughly hour and a half to 2 hour experience per playthrough. My first one was a little longer because I was slow. My second one was with someone else, but it still took about the same amount of time. Basically, you're exploring a desert. You go through mountains, ruins, caves, and caverns, as well as just the desert in and of itself, finding clues about this previous civilization that had lived here, and how they collapsed, basically. So I went and I looked up a bunch of other stuff on this game. So I wasn't into gaming at the time, really, when this came out, or not in a way that I would have been on the internet looking for stuff. This is a thinker, even more than Abzu was. Abzu still has a lot of gameplay to it. It can take up to like 6 hours. This one is legit. It's thought material. There is gameplay, and it is fun. But like, that's it. This game is all about making you think about it for weeks after you play it. So there are a couple of different types of collectibles, quote unquote, if you can really call them that, that you can find throughout the world in different areas, which are ancient glyphs and symbols. Each area, which the game has, I believe, like 15 areas. They're kind of like loosely connected set piece puzzles, kind of. Has a decent amount of those scattered throughout them. Most of them are really easy to find. They're all just along the way. So you collect those, you get... It's all environmental storytelling. So you're just like a silly little robed thing in the desert. You can sing.
you're like a little Jawa.
Kinda, yeah. You can sing and move around and jump and slide down dunes. That's literally it. And jump.
Did you say Dune?
Dunes? Yes. And that's all there really is to it. It's basically going from one end of a set piece, it feels weird calling them set pieces. That implies they're like big and bombastic. Just chunks, little chapters of ruins, whether it be vehicular wreckage, scientific looking buildings, old temples, ruins. So this game is very heavily influenced, I would say, by a lot of different Eastern religions for sure. Yeah, I know, Middle East, big desert. So it's kind of about everything. It at least for me, so this is all mostly interpretive stuff. It emphasizes how big the world is and how little you are and how little you can do. You have like no power in this world. There's nothing you can really do. There's very little stuff to interact with in a way that does anything aside from you jumping on a rock or climbing up a ledge. Like that doesn't really do anything. And the same thing with another person. If you play with someone else, you have no way to communicate with them directly. You work together as best as you can, but there's no guarantee that other person is going to be cooperative with you and vice versa. So it's really isolating. The music, in that sense, I think is where it really, really, really shines. This music is so depressing, but in a really fun way, where it doesn't make me want to, like, go kill myself. It's more like... You know when you put on sad music when it's rainy outside and you're already a little sad? And, like, it makes you feel more sad, but it doesn't make you feel, like, horrible.
For, like, no reason.
Yeah, it's like sad. Yeah, you're just like, yeah, it's like that. And looking at the ruins of this previous civilization or civilizations from however long ago, you look at their buildings, their vehicles, all this sort of fun stuff, and it's just trying to piece together what could have happened. And there's like no way you can figure out what happened because I don't think they had an idea of what actually happened. That's like even more than Abzu, which kind of has a narrative to it-ish. There's no real conclusion to this. The game ends with a technical conclusion, but like it's just supposed to... It's just vibes, basically. There are things that give you vibes. They make you think about this thing, and then this other thing comes up that makes you think about this other thing, and then you think about how those two things intersect with each other and what they mean in the real world. That's basically it. It's really fucking cool. So up my alley. There's a decent amount of Steam/PlayStation trophies. They're all pretty straightforward. Collecting all the collectibles, meditating with another player, playing most of the game with another player, stuff like that. It's really gorgeous. It's aged surprisingly well. I was playing it on a laptop with like middle graphic settings in terms of my graphic card settings and like my Steam settings. Just looks good. It has a strong sense of style and an environment to it. The music is always playing. There's a lot of really, really, really pretty tracks. I had different music on my two different playthroughs as well, so it might not be specifically triggered by like locational triggers or have transition pieces. I think it might just basically be one long, flowing, rotating tapestry of music, which I think is really cool. I paid $10. I think it launched at $15, but it's pretty much always on sale or free. I'm sure it gets thrown in with Humble Bundles and shit all the time.
Are there multiple endings? Is there anything that would encourage replay? More so just to explore more stuff and the potential of playing with somebody else and like finding more hints and clues. But there is nothing you do that changes the narrative because there really isn't a narrative to change for the most part. It's an interactable sandbox, not just literally, but I don't know. It's like you load up, a person, you sit in front of this kid's playbox. There's this big old sand dunes, and you're uncovering their toys and their Matchbox cars and crayons and like Lego bits. But like you can't do anything with those. You can't put them together. You can't make anything. You can't move them. You're just kind of brushing away the sand and trying to figure out what happened. And if you've been in a children's like sandbox, there's no rhyme or reason to anything really. Like that Tonka truck got brought over 3 weeks ago. It was full of water, which is now evaporated and it's rusting out. The Matchbox cars have nothing to do with the Legos. Like, they're just all parts of this kid's world that they put into the sandbox. If that makes any sense at all. And the items don't change at all?
No. It's just a matter of whether or not you found them.
I also, like with any game that has like a meditation mode, it's cool. Like just being able to sit there and let the world kind of do its thing with the music going and the camera whooshes around. Any game that has something like that, I'm a big sucker for. I mean, it's cheap and it takes like 2 hours, so it's not like I would say, even if you don't think you're going to like it, like it's a waste of time, because there's like no time really to play it. But if you're into like narrative or like environmental vibes stuff, or philosophical ponderings, then it's very much so in that vein. I like it a lot. I did like Abzu more because there was more to do and it was a bigger game. Also, deserts kind of stress me out because I hate heat like a lot. So while
we
it was
are in the middle of summer right now,
yeah, and we're dying, my balls are very wet
and probably stuck to the pleather seat.
Yep.
I'm gonna make a nice as you peel them off.
Yeah. Abzu has a lot more chill vibes that I enjoy, but I like these very much. Now I'm gonna go play like a zombie game next or something.
Yes.